Closing in on 100 crore shots. The total number of COVID 19 doses administered in India is set to cross 1 billion in a couple of days. While India is one of only two countries with a billion plus population, the landmark comes in the face of several hurdles. A look at how the vaccination drive has progressed since January and the challenges still ahead. In a couple of days or so from now, the number of COVID 19 vaccine doses administered in India will have crossed 100 crore or 1 billion. Already, India has administered more vaccine doses than any other country in the world apart from China, with no other country having a population of anything close to 500 million. The billion doses club would consist of only these two countries. Still, for a country that faced huge supply bottlenecks and a fair amount of vaccine hesitancy, at least in the initial period, reaching the 100 crore milestone is no small achievement. Transportation, distribution, and storage of vaccine at specific low temperatures posed huge additional hurdles in a country lacking in an elaborate cold chain network. Add to this the fact that for more than 3 months during this period, India was in the midst of the worst phase of the pandemic anywhere in the world, one that had crippled the very same health system that was supposed to administer vaccines as well. The 100 crore milestone is being achieved in about 275 days. The first vaccine doses were administered on January 16, which means that on an average 27 lakh doses have been given every day through this 10-month period. There have, of course, been wide variations in the daily number of doses administered. On 6 days, more than 1 crore doses were administered, with a record of 2.18 crore being achieved on September 17. On the other hand, in the initial few days in January and a couple of days in February, less than 50,000 doses were administered. As on October 16, more than 97.65 crore vaccine doses has been administered to over 69.47 crore people. More than 28.18 crore people are fully vaccinated now. This means that 74% or close to three-fourths of the adult population in India have received at least one dose, while 30% have got both doses. Smaller states, better coverage. Not surprisingly, states with smaller population have a much better coverage of COVID 19 vaccination. In states such as Sikkim, Himachal Pradesh, Goa, and the Union Territories of Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Chandigarh, and Lakshadweep, almost every individual above the age of 18 has already received at least one dose of vaccine. These states also have the highest proportion of fully vaccinated people, over 40% each in the case of Lakshadweep, Sikkim, and Ladakh. But some of the larger states with much larger populations such as Gujarat, Kerala, Delhi, Madhya Pradesh and Uttarakhand have also managed to vaccinate over 90% of their adult population with at least one dose. On the other hand, some low population northeastern states Manipur, Meghalaya and Nagaland have also Puducherry are lagging behind with less than 60% of their people have been vaccinated with even a single dose. Among the higher population states Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Jharkhand and Tamil Nadu have all achieved less than 70% coverage for first dose. Between 17 and 25% of the population have received the second dose. No urban-rural divide. Most of the large urban centers, including metropolitan cities, have registered fairly good coverage of vaccines. The requirement to get vaccinated in order to attend work or to travel or even shop, coupled with relatively lower vaccine hesitancy, could have played a role in a larger number of people getting the shots. In most major cities, the proportion of people who have received both doses is fairly uniform and in general higher than the national average of 30%. In the rural areas, the situation is slightly different. Data exclusively from the rural areas are not available, but numbers from 243 BRGF backward region grant fund districts, which are primarily rural, present a fairly comprehensive picture. A huge variation in vaccine coverage is visible in the districts. The proportion of fully vaccinated people ranges from less than 8% in districts such as Tiruvannamalai in Tamil Nadu or Balarampur in Chhattisgarh to close to 80% in Ramban in Jammu and Kashmir and Raigad in Chhattisgarh. In reality, these percentages would be slightly lower because of increase in population in the last 10 years. However, there is no evidence to suggest that rural areas in general are lagging behind in vaccinations. In fact, data shows that 243 BRGF districts have, on an average, provided 80% of their population census 2011 with at least one dose of the vaccine, much higher than the national average. The coverage of the second dose is about 30% at par with national average. There does not seem to be a sharp urban-rural divide in terms of vaccination coverage. Again, the increase in population in the last 10 years would probably bring down the percentage by a few points. The road ahead. Despite the phenomenal work in speeding up vaccination in the last 2 months, there is still a steep climb ahead. India is aiming to fully vaccinate its entire adult population by the end of this year. This means an additional 90 crore doses have to be administered between now and December 31. This is about the same amount of work as accomplished till now, but in one-fourth of the time. In September, India administered 23.5 crore vaccine doses, the highest for any month. It would have to be significantly better than to achieve full vaccination by the end of the year. Compared to September, the rate of vaccination has been slower in October. With more than half of the month gone, only about 8.21 crore doses has been administered. But for the first time, getting their second doses are likely to constitute about half the number of this month. So far, 48% of the vaccine doses have gone to people getting their second dose. This proportion has not grown steadily as would be expected. It dropped sharply in June following the increase in the prescribed gap period between the two doses. After a big jump in July, it declined in August again. After that, it has been on the rise as people with first dose crossed the halfway mark. In fact, in the last 4 days, second doses have been vastly outnumbering the first dose. Vaccinations may have already played a key role in limiting the spread of the disease. India daily counts of cases has dropped from a peak of over 4 lakh to 50,000 within 45 days between May and June. However, for the next 3 months it remained within a range of 25 to 50,000. It is only now, in October, that this number has finally begun to slide down rapidly. For 10 days now, the daily count has now touched 20,000. Part of the reason of the vaccination coverage reaching a critical stage. As experts repeatedly pointed out, vaccination does not offer guaranteed protection against infection, but it does reduce the chances. More significantly, however, it does seem to prevent the disease from taking a serious turn. Thank you.